Sir, can we start?
Yes, yes, we'll start.
Yeah, so
Pallavi
from your
madam.
side. Yeah, okay.
Pallavi madam.
Okay, hello everyone. I welcome this once again for another interactive and wonderful session. Now I would like to request Rocky sir to take the session.
Sure, Pallavi. Yeah, thank you. Friends, I remember mentioning yesterday that today we're going to have a very geared up session, and today it will be a little difficult for all of you to keep pace with what I'm doing. Yes, you will be able to follow each and every step, no doubt about it. But you may not be able to execute each and every step because lots of background installations will be required. Okay. Yeah. So, I hope my screen is clear. If can anybody authenticate yes on the chat, please? Yep. Thanks, Indrajit. Right. So, there is a notebook that has been given to you. Kindly please open it and just confirm with me. Have you got the notebook? All of the participants have got the notebook. The link is available on the chat. I have posted. Our friend Pallavi has posted. Please check if anybody has not got it. Please take it from the chat or from the Moodle. Okay. Right. So many people have got it. Fantastic. Now, friends, what happens is why this topic is extremely very important. See, whatever you do in ML, at the end of the day, if you're not able to put it to use, it's useless, right? So you'll be saying that okay, we made a lot of Colab notebooks, we made a lot of Jupyter notebooks, we wrote a lot of Python code, but what is the use? Whom are you helping by doing that? You're just learning. So obviously, we have to ensure that our product is coming to use. So what happens is, any point of time, what happens is, we make a wonderful ML model. Think of the situation, huh? We have made a wonderful ML model, okay, and this ML model is a recommendation engine which can recommend the customer a product. Imagine you have done this. You have done all this coding yourself and you're ready with it. So, and this is working beautifully in Jupyter or in Colab. Whenever you are giving any details of a particular customer, that means you are giving his buying history. You're giving details of the customer like his age, his gender, and what has been his spending score in the past. And also, you are giving what kind of products he has bought in previous, that is in the past. So you are giving me his buying history. Okay. If you're giving me this information, our ML model, you'll be wondering that why should I give the buying history? Obviously, you only have to give, no? How will the ML model know the buying history? Isn't it or not? You'll say it's got trained. See, but the training data was different. This is a test data. Training is over, my friend. Training data पर आपने ML model बना दिया. You made the ML model on training data. That is over. And now you are testing. So this all stuff which I've written over here is my testing data. Now, because you are having your testing data here, and you have fetched this data from the, let's say from the Amazon, from the Flipkart database by using SQL. So we use SQL to fetch all this data from the databases. And once this data is there, we are only giving that one customer's data to the ML model. And what we expect on the ML model? Very simple thing. We are expecting the ML model to give us some recommendation depending upon the customer I have given you. So recommendation. Give me some recommendation of what products should I tell him to buy. Okay, right. Now imagine the situation. The whole Amazon website is coded using a stack like PHP. The front end is JavaScript, Ajax, and Angular, and the back end is PHP, MySQL. So where is Python here? There is no Python code at all, right? There is no scope for Python to run. So this whole backend code is PHP MySQL. Obviously, I will not tell, and neither I'm going to ask कि front end में machine learning use तो नहीं हो सकता. That's not possible because front end is only used for displaying things. So front end is going to be all your UI work. is going to be all your UI UX work. Now, because this is all your UI UX work, so this is not going to have machine learning. There's no place of machine learning over here. So obviously, any machine learning I'm going to do, I'll do it in the backend. Now, the big problem that we are all going to face, we are in a bottleneck. Our product, that is a website, is coded either by using PHP MySQL, or it is coded by using Node.js, or it is, let's say if it's a banking website and it's a Java-based product, it is coded by using Java server pages, or it is coded by using C# or ASP.NET. Where is Python anywhere here? Even if Python is there, that's going to be a Python software development code. Where is machine learning code here? So there is no way. Correct. So these are all existing systems. Just because you made a recommendation engine by doing lot of work on Kaggle and lot of work in your Colab and Jupyter, you cannot go and tell Amazon, change your website to Python. I have to encrypt my ML code. Amazon will says, what's wrong with you? My code is there, it is serving few lakhs of customers. At every instant of time, it is working so beautiful. You are coding one tiny dot called recommendation engine. Please code it and come. And we'll figure out how to integrate this. Like how do we integrate the small dot called the recommendation engine into the system? So for that, what we do is, first thing we will do is, we will host this ML model on a different server. First thing we're going to do is host it on a different server. There is no reason for hosting this on the same web server on which your web sites are running. There is no reason also. Okay, so let the web server host the website, and let the different server, which could be a Flask, where we are going to learn Flask today. So Flask is the simplest and free web server to run small Python codes. Now that Python code could do an ML work for you or could do something else for you. That's a different issue. It depends what you've written in the code. And there are many other servers like Heroku, like Django, like Hug, HUG. So there are many servers. Some are paid, some are free. Most are paid. Right now, you are buying some web server. You are installing some web server like Flask. It's not to be bought. It's totally free, and you are hosting your application on it. I repeat, you're hosting your application on it. Okay. Now, once your application is hosted on the Flask server, now what is left? A tiny thing is left. What is the tiny thing? The PHP will make a HTTP request, normal HTTP request, as you make to a web page. So it's going to make an HTTP request to the ML model and also give some data. The data will be this. Data will be this. The customer details and the buying history. And once that is going, the ML model is going to give you some recommendation back onto PHP. PHP will form a proper web page with whatever recommendation has come to it and give it to the front end. Front end will display the web page. As simple as that. This is the way the whole thing works. Now, whether it is a website or whether it's a mobile app, it is immaterial. Neither of them, neither the Android app, which is coded using Kotlin language, neither the iOS app, which is coded using the Swift language, and neither the web app or the website, which is coded using PHP MySQL, none of them are holding the ML model. AIW, A, Android using Kotlin or Java, iOS apps, that is iPhone apps made using Swift, W, website made using PHP MySQL or Node.js. None of them, I repeat, are holding the ML model, and none of them are supposed to hold or not supposed to hold the ML model also, because these systems are running beautifully well. A Truecaller app on Android or iOS is running beautifully well. Why do you want to disturb that? Please don't do that. It's a app which is running beautifully. If there is a machine, there is an engine running beautifully well, don't go and disturb it. So let it be here as it is. There is something called as a very important topic called APIs, application programming interfaces. So many things run as APIs on the internet. So post by this session, if anybody wish to learn more on APIs, just do little googling on it. I know most of you know it, but in case if you do not know it, please do little googling on APIs. APIs are a very powerful thing. So the basic funda of API is you're going to use API today. You're going to create one today. But in case theoretically, if you want to know the history or the background of it, then I'm asking you to Google. So what is an application programming interface? Is this only. You made a small service, you hosted it on a Flask server, and you generated a URL for it. कैसे URL हम generate करते हैं हमारे college के नाम का, our college name or our company name or let's say a shopping name Amazon.com or Flipkart.com, what does it? It's a URL. So you generate a URL and you give the URL to these PHP guys. Tell them that whenever you want a recommendation, please call the URL and I'll give you the answer. The PHP people say, yeah, that's cool, that's fine. Calling a web page. So, but they're not calling a web page, they are now calling a ML model. Okay, so I hope this architecture is very clear. Now, I want to still ask you, is it clear? Please punch in me a yes or no. Is this a basic architecture which I've drawn on the board? Is this clear or not? Okay. Majority of people are saying that this architecture is clear. Perfect. You're welcome to ask me questions. But first listen to me for another 5 minutes. Then you ask me questions. Okay. The next is when you have coded or ML, see what is the meaning of the word ML model? ML model means your Python code. Correct. This is what we have been doing till now. Now this Python code which will do everything for you, right from loading the data, then it will do something called as data cleaning, then data pre-processing, then doing the fit of the ML model over the data, then performing a predict. And after the predict, obviously the results come. Now all this stuff, right from step number 1 up till the last step, all this is written in a Python code. Nothing to do with respect to PHP or Java. PHP, Java, Node.js don't have libraries only to do this. एक भी library नहीं है ये सब काम करने के लिए, कैसे करेंगे हम? So we are handicapped. We have to use Python to do all this stuff. And Python has enormous amount of libraries. That means as on today, the level at which Python has reached, no language, not even R, can touch where Python has reached today. It has reached at such a height. It is just like, if somebody says that I have a Reliance Industries company at one side, okay, and I have let's say a company called DMart on the other side, which is bigger. What is the reason of comparing? How can you compare an apple with an orange? There's no sense. Reliance is far bigger than DMart. Right? So now, because we're clear with this, now let's understand that this ML model he converted into an executable file. There is an exe file, and to convert something into an executable file or exe file in Python or in machine learning, we say we're making a pickle file of it. So we make a pickle file. Pickle, the same pickle which we eat with our food, the pickle. So we make a pickle file. Now this pickle file is nothing but an executable file which is holding your entire Python code in low-level format. And this pickle file is what is uploaded onto your web server, your ML web server called FLASK. Now once we upload it over FLASK and generate a URL, this URL is given to the outside world. This outside world could be you or me, this could be you or me, or this could be some PHP code of Amazon, or this could be some app, maybe a Java or a Kotlin app like Truecaller running on Android or iPhones, whatever. URL is given, na khatam. Once URL is given, URL can even be WhatsApp to somebody. Go and test my machine learning model. He can do that. So the objective is, I hope, very clear. Ki what we need to do. We'll write an entire Python code. We will make an executable, that is a pickle file of it. Then we will install Flask. We will upload this pickle onto the Flask. Okay, and we will tell the outside world that, oh wow, come on, you can fire your request to my URL. My URL will give you recommendation of a product. Okay, makes sense. Make valid sense. Ki what we're going to do is very focused today. Now, friends, when we talk about deployments, there are two varieties of deployment. We could have PaaS, that is platform as a service, or we could have infrastructure as a service. The collab which you are using is a good example of platform as a service. And tomorrow, if you're using Amazon or you're buying a paid account on Google Colab, this is a free account, but there is a lot of more services which Google can give you on a paid account. Or you could use Amazon web services where also you can run your ML notebooks, and that is the part where you can run your Colab notebooks in ML. It's called as SageMaker. It's called as AWS SageMaker. You can actually create a free account, but you have to give your credit card details. That's the only problem. and they start debiting money after the free period is over. So just be a little very careful there. I usually don't demonstrate Amazon SageMaker is very easy, but I don't demonstrate it in the training sessions for a very simple reason that if anybody uses it, he will end up actually forgetting that he's given his details and they'll start debiting. Just kidding. Okay. Right. So Amazon SageMaker is a place where you can create your notebook type coding and click on deploy. It will deploy for you. मतलब जैसे आप कोलैब में नोटबुक बना रहे हो ना एग्जैक्टली वैसे ही आप वहां पर कोलैब का नोटबुक बनाओगे without worrying anything, no flask, nothing needed. You choose a stack, say click on deploy, it will deploy for you. So it is actually good for beginners, but for professionals, people will do the way I am doing right now. Okay. And Amazon SageMaker or Amazon services on the cloud are all paid. Students get free account there. Students from reputed colleges, or if the college has a tie-up with Amazon, they give 1 year totally free subscription with enough amount of space and CPU cycles to run. Okay. Now this diagram is just for your overall understanding that we have platform as a service or infrastructure as a service. Okay, and so whenever we do any machine learning application development in the industry, we have to look at it from a DevOps perspective. DevOps means there should be continuous integration and continuous deployment pipeline. Modules or applications you make, you go on deploying it either on a Docker or on a GitHub account or on Amazon bucket. S3 stands for storage buckets. Okay. Now, I just gave this example. You have built a super cool machine learning model that can predict blah blah. I just have a humble request. I will give you this 30 seconds without talking, peaceful break. Consider the following situation. Please read this entire paragraph either from my screen if it is very clear or from your notebook, wherever you feel comfortable. 30 seconds. Friends, I hope it is done. Now, there is also small one more reading part because I've already explained it. So I don't want to, but I don't want to skip it also. Because if some people have joined 2 minutes late, they wouldn't have corrected only what I was talking. So I would request so that all be see. If you don't understand this part, there is no sense of listening for the next 2 hours. Please understand, you won't connect. So most of the times from this paragraph, most of the times up till API is being served. I have already explained this through diagram. So I still want to take another 30 seconds so that everybody reads this. And friends, moment you have finished reading with this, please say me a yes or a done on the chat window. Okay, I can see some duns coming up. Apeksha confirmed long ago, but now I see some more duns coming up, but I'm waiting for others also to acknowledge. If anyone is having any doubts, please feel free to ask me at this point. Because up till 6, I will be doing complete concept building. And from 6 to 7, I will be doing complete coding. I will not talk of any concept. Only coding will happen. Okay. So I think majority has read this. Para and you're all allowing me to move ahead. Now, friends, there's a couple of more things, not one. There are many more things in concept building that has to come now. Whenever we give data to any API, application programming interface, specifically the web APIs, the data are always given as well as returned in a very standard form, and the standard format for data exchange is always in JSON or an XML form. So if anybody is unaware of what JSON and XML, I would have a humble request to please post this session. Just do a little googling to get hang of what is JSON and what is XML. JSON I am using in my case. So when I use JSON, what do I mean to say? See, I mean to say this. You are well aware that on the Flask, this is a Flask. On the Flask web server, you have uploaded your machine learning pickle file. Now, because this pickle file is over here, anyone can throw a request to this pickle file and get a response, correct? Now, whoever is going to send a request to this, by the way, because this is a web server, so you only understand HTTP request. It won't understand anything else. And he is going to give you an HTTP reply also. So the point is, I know you will feel why is he giving me only HTTP request and reply? Because please appreciate the fact that this is Flask is a web server. It's a web server, and any web server will only accept input as a HTTP request and give an output as HTTP response. So the input that you give, simply calling the ML model, he cannot do anything for you. Yeah, you say ML model recommend. He will say recommend on what? Give me the data. So obviously, along with the HTTP request, you have to pass me data. And this data which you're going to pass me has to be either in JSON form, JavaScript object notation, or in XML format. There are two formats this data has to be in, which is a kind of a protocol. Yes, there are other formats which I don't wish to discuss as of right now. It will just create confusion. But these two are the majorly ruling formats. They are like standardized today. So 90% of the web server cases would exchange data either a JSON or an XML. There could be 10% of the web servers in the world accessing data in other protocols and other standards which are proprietary. There are a lot of proprietary standards also available which we need not discuss. Okay, now XML and JSON is what we should be aware about. JSON, of course, we are using, and JSON is a very simple format. It's just a collection of dictionaries. How you write dictionaries in Python? Please recall, we used to write dictionary like this in Python. We go to a Python file. We used to write like this, and in this dictionary, this was a key colon some value. So all the key value pairs used to come in a dictionary. I hope we remember. So let's say this is key 1, corresponding value 1. This is key 2, corresponding value 2. I remember this was the first notebook which we took in the FDP1, where we did with the first notebook of the hands-on, we did with respect to different data types and data structures available in Python. And if I can make a list of such dictionaries, then this kind of a data structure which has got formed is called as a JSON file. I can save this as a JSON file, .js, JavaScript file, and it is holding a JSON data. Nothing but a kind of a list of dictionaries. Simple. So what could dictionary hold? Okay. Dictionary could hold like this. Let's say the first key is customer's age, and the person who's shopping with is 25 years old, and His buying history is buying history is again a list of items which he has bought in the past. So like this kind of information is there for, okay, and one more information is also very important, and that is gender. That is of course important. Boys will buy what boys want to buy, girls will buy what girls want to buy. Can't mix them, right? So gender is male in the first case, and customers is comma for separating the data. So this kind of information, my friends, is there for every customer. So if you want to predict at a time, obviously you're going to give for one customer, or you can give for n number of customers also and expect n predictions to happen. That's okay. You can give him n. The return value which the ML model will give you will also be separate. So the return value the ML model will give you is again a list of JSON data, where the first JSON is talking about the products to be recommended for first input. So you recommended him, let's say, Nike shoes and MI phone. Okay, and you recommended the next person, uh, let's say, a new dress and a Titan watch. So you recommended this. So you're basically making recommendations. So the first recommendation which comes has to be mapped by us. By us means the PHP code to the first input, and the second recommendation which comes has to be mapped to the second JSON input. And you are given a collection of such JSON inputs to your recommendation engine. Okay, so this is the way JSON looks like. If you feel that this information was useful, I will punch it over the chat. If you think no, I can't record this kind of scattered information, no problems. You can ignore it. This is like a JSON data given as an input, and this is a JSON data which comes as an output. I'll put it on the chat. If you think it's worth it to place it somewhere, place it. Otherwise, you can ignore it. No problems. Okay. I've also given a lot of ready-made APIs like the IBM Watson, the Google Vision API, and there are many APIs. AWS is also having a lot of NLP APIs of Alexa. So Alexa, which is a device, they have open sourced the APIs for them for NLP. Now, there are many companies actually. Many companies, in fact, at S.P.I.T college, if you ever come to the campus of S.P.I.T, this building is 8 floors tall, and on the 8th floor of this building, there is something called as an incubation center. So the management of the college had this post-sightedness that why should every student go and work? Why should every student go and work? Why can't a student become an entrepreneur? This was their vision. So some key people decided that we should open up the incubation center, and that incubation center for over the last couple of years, Ratho sir can possibly post the session sometime. You can have a casual talk with him. He can give you some good statistics. But as of right now, if you just look at the incubation center's history also by going on the website of S.P.I.T, you will realize that they have generated lots of very good startup companies which have huge. They are no longer startups now. So the point is this, that many companies today from the last 3 years are actually coming up
Sir,
and
phone
generating.
pay. Rocky, Rocky sir, phone pay,
Exactly,
phone pay.
exactly. Phone pay is your product, sir. It is your product, actually. Right. So phone pay, which is taken over by Flipkart, was incubated at S.P.I.T itself. I think it was incubated about 8 years back, when none of them even knew also of digital payments kya hota hai, not even heard about it. 2012-13 batch, and they were. And sir, if I'm not mistaken, that was incubated by electronics students. I'm not mistaken.
No,
Combination
no, no,
electronics.
no, no. They were IT students. Our IT students. They started phone pay. Initially, it was some other name. Then, when they graduated from our incubation, when they are outside, then they have renamed the company as phone pay. It was a different name
Okay.
earlier. Our
Yeah, and then there was,
founders are students.
wow, wow, great. So So the whole point over here is that today you lot of startup companies for the last 3 years who are actually making dedicated APIs, machine learning APIs. You know what they're doing? They're actually they're working hard on the machine learning model, making optimized model. They're generating an API for it and telling to the world that, see, I have got an API for selling you insurance. They're connecting with all the banks, they're connecting with all the financial institutions, they're connecting with all the corporates and telling them, see, if you want to recommend insurance to your employees, don't sit back and dig your head. We have already ML model to recommend insurance, uh, and this model is perfect with, it will take all the inputs and recommend the best insurance policy your employee should have. So banks will use it for marketing insurance plans to their customers. Financial companies would again use this for cross-selling insurance to the companies who are buying mutual funds, buying stocks. We can cross-sell them some small insurance amount. Corporates will be interested to insure their employees for their well-being, as giving them as an add-on, as an incentive to their work. So these guys will also use it. See, instead of the company, what was old tradition? What was old tradition? Say old tradition is that, say you work in, assume that you work in Tata Group company. 20 years back. What is the tradition? You're working in Tata Motors. Tata Motors will tie up with LIC. One LIC representative will come and sit in the office counter and will tell everybody, go and buy this policy. With no rhyme or reason, everybody in Tata Motors bought one single type of policy. Is everyone the same? The technician working at the plant, the manager sitting in the cabin, and the vice president and the president, you think all are same? No, but the product was same. The product was same, only the premiums were different. You couldn't have a stupid situation than this ever in life. This is not acceptable today. So many people have made, there are many companies which have actually come out with this kind of model, that they are looking at different sectors. Somebody is looking at a banking sector, somebody is looking at the pharma sector, somebody is looking at the automobile or cars sector. Automobile again has a lot of bifurcations. It could be four-wheeler, two-wheelers, or it could be heavy vehicles. So they're actually making small companies with 10, 15 brainy people and making the API and then selling it to thousands of people. And this API works on subscription model. That means how Zoom subscription model. That's the reason I was talking with Sir, so that the Sir will come out with some figures. So Zoom is basically made an API for video calls, and you are paying rupees 1200 or rupees 1500 per month for that single account holder. So what what you're doing with respect to Zoom? You're paying to Zoom for using their API. They've given you an API. Are you making any installations on your system? No. Are you buying any additional softwares? No. Are you doing any hard work of coding in your systems? No. So how this video conferencing is working so beautiful of Cisco right in front of you? How is it working? It's because of the API. Therefore, it is browser based. So the point is this, that over the internet, somebody makes a service and thousands of people are able to use it. And they have uploaded this not on Flask. Flask will not manage so many. Flask can manage 2-3 users, that's it. Because it's free. They've uploaded it on Amazon Web Services or on the Google Cloud. Okay, and it is super simple. It's not difficult at all. You just need to have paid accounts. Rest, their representatives only keep guiding you. You have to upload this. You upload this file here, and it's all chat driven, and it happens. It's not difficult. So once that is done, you to sell your APIs to as many people as possible so that they can use it. Simple as that. So this is the whole funda, the API modeling. Now, just look at this schematic diagram. There is a lot of literature which I've kept below it, explaining this again and again. Why? Because I believe some of my friends, my learner friends on this AICT workshop may not be from the computers background. They could be from electrical, electronics, instrumentation. So they will need this input. They wouldn't have come across such a diagram. Okay. Now, friends, whenever you look at any website of your college or of Amazon, of Google, all the websites have something called as a front end. It's a web page. So the web page is coded using HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React, Angular, some technologies which actually are used for making the front end. They are used over here. A front end does only one small baby thing for you. He will take it. Yes, front ends are very good looking. They might be very creative people. Yes, but they will do a very baby thing for you, very small thing. They will take input, show the output. Finish. At the end of the day, they're not doing any brain work. Brain work is done by the server, and now their servers have to be divided into two parts. Now, this server which I've shown here is actually not the server which is supposed to run the Python code. No, this server here is a web server, which could be running PHP, MySQL, and there could be many instances of these servers. So I've shown bubbles because one server comes down, a second will take over. So all the big companies have multiple instances of the same server running for load distribution and load balancing. Now, this particular server, which is a web server, takes your input and simply gives a response to you that your query is under execution, please wait. And that query is not run by the web server, never. If the web server starts running the ML code, it will get delayed. The other future request will get delayed. So what it does is, it takes your request and dumps it into a queue. Okay, so please don't worry. I've drawn this kind of a diagram, which is, because with paint you can draw creative diagrams, so my creativity comes out here. So you dump all this data into the queues, and when you dump the data into the queue, so what has come into the queue? Only the ML recommendation request has come into the queue. The web page which you want to see is ready with this server. But you have asked me, for, let's say, for a product on Amazon. Okay, but an Amazon product, if you notice, whatever product you search, it comes on the top. Whatever product you search on Amazon, it comes on the top. This is your product here, but at the bottom it says, no, people who saw this also saw this. People who bought this also bought this. What is he trying to do? He's trying to recommend you some combinational products which people in general have bought together. So now that recommendation has to come from the ML, na? So how will this PHP generate a web page and give it? He can't. So he puts your request. What should I recommend to this customer? He puts a request into the queue. This is a queue which is holding all ML requests. What are these workers? These workers are basically individual threads written in Python, which is running on a separate server. They're running all together on a completely separate server. Okay, and that separate server could be hosting a Heroku, could be hosting a Flask, could be hosting a Django, could be using AWS SageMaker or AWS. Okay, so on some server these workers are running, these small Python codes are running. They pick up the queue. Sorry, they don't pick up the queue. I'm sorry. They go to the queue and pick up the ML job, run it, and whatever is the recommendation, they write it into the database. Now, once the recommendation written into the database, a notification is sent to the server that your answer is ready. Server says, cool. Server fires an SQL, gets the recommendation, makes the web page complete, and throws it to the front end. So, during this course, imagine if the ML work took 3 seconds. The ML work took 3 seconds, and you are getting one request every second. So, I hope you agree that there is going to be a backlog of 3 seconds here on the queue, because every 1 second you're getting a request, and ML job takes 3 seconds to execute. So after 3 seconds, the person will get an output, but your server was free. If any other user is putting a request, he's able to entertain that also, because every request may not need ML now. Some request could be payment request. Why you want to halt a payment request? Payment कर रहा है बंदा, pay तो करने दो उसको, आगे जाने दो. Person is surfing the products. Let him surf. Person is seeing different images of his dress, front, back, fabric, feedback. Person is reading the feedback. Why you want to stop him? Where is the ML going to come if the person is reading feedbacks? Isn't it? It won't come. So only for ML jobs, I'm dumping the ML work into the queue. Rest everything the server handles and answers. Whatever I spoke right now, word by word, in very elaborate sense. Trust me, friends, very, very elaborate. Once you read my notebook, you will see Rocky speaking to you. Okay. So I have written all that stuff here. And then I have also written the steps of how to install Flask. And after installing Flask, what has to be done, step by step process I have written, each and every step process. Now I will do everything and show it to you, but you haven't to worry about the fact that I will forget after 1 hour. No, you will not, because whatever I'm doing, I'm speaking, each and every step is here. Okay. Now let me tell you how we are going to go about the today's session. So, okay, hold on. I forgot to mention this. Friends, could you scroll a bit and come to this point? Scan through the file steps underscore 124 coding.py. Please, can you come to this line? And do you see a small Google Drive link given beside it? Please tell me yes or no. Okay. Jayashree, Vandana, Indrajit had quickly, thank you all of you, quickly confirmed that there is a Google Drive link. Please go to this Google Drive link and you will see a folder with lots of files. Please download it on your PC. Exactly, Jayashree, you're very correct. There are 5 files. Very good. Please download all of them and keep them safe on your computer. Where you have kept all your workshop literature, please keep it safely there. Yeah, I'm waiting, friends. I didn't get an acknowledgement from all of your side. Download done now. Okay. So, as you've all downloaded and kept it at a safe place, so I want you to now. I don't want you to multiplex your concentration between the screens because now the things are not so easy that you go to a cell and just click the run button and the code will run. No, it's not so easy. Or some code is missing and you'll copy paste. No code is missing. Every code is given. So I'll wait. Don't worry. Swapnali is asking me to wait. I'll wait for 1 more minute. Okay. So I believe that I just got 6-7 acknowledgements. There are about 35-40 odd people who are listening right now. I hope they're also doing along with me. At least download. At least download it and acknowledge me a yes. Okay. Now the question is, the file which you've downloaded, the folder which you've downloaded, what is it really about? Actually, a folder is having files of these variety. These are the 5 files which are there in your folder. There is a file called API and it's a Python file, as you could see. It has a file called model.pickle. It's a pickle which we have made. There is no need of pickle actually over here because we all are going to make the pickle file, okay, ourselves. Then steps 1 to 4. Now, what are the steps 1 to 4? Actually, in my notebook, I have explained step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. So all that 4 steps, I have what English words I have used, I have converted into a code to put it over here. So therefore, the name of this file is steps 1 to 4 coding. This is my test data. I'm sure you can see this peculiar format of test data. It's a JSON file. See how it looks like. What is the data into it? We will see each and everything. Don't worry. हम postmortem करने वाले. We're going to do postmortem of everything today. Training data is of Titanic and it's an Excel file. Okay. So let's try to see this in small steps one by one. First, let me show you the test data in JSON format. Whenever you have data in JSON, you will always see that the file begins with a brace bracket and ends with a brace bracket. This is a sign. A JSON file data, however big or small it has the data, will always begin with a brace bracket, end with a brace bracket. If I remove the brace bracket, the JSON file will go corrupted. Now inside the brace bracket, I am having a key called content colon. Please notice, friends. Again, clearly notice. Content is my key. You'll say, ha, Rocky Ji, I remember it is key value pair. Wait. No. That's not the key value pair. See very carefully. Content, of course, is the key, no doubt about it. But the colon has a square bracket. And in the square bracket, you have many such dictionaries. So what you are actually having here is a list of dictionaries, right? But this is not Python that we should use the word dictionary. This is not Python. No, sir, we are doing Python coding. My friend, this is test data.json. JSON means JavaScript. JavaScript has no dictionary. JavaScript has no list. So this is not a list here. Let's not misuse the Python words into JSON, into JavaScript. JavaScript will feel bad now. So what is this? This is actually an array of JSON objects. So square bracket in JavaScript means an array, and you are forming an array, and anything which you write in brace brackets in JavaScript, it's called as a JavaScript object. So it's called as a JSON object. So this is a JSON object with key value pairs, as you could see. This is key value pair, yes. Age is 85, gender is male, embarked from the port S. Further, the next person is age is 24, gender is female, and embarked from the port C, so on and so forth. And so we have made an array of JSON objects, and we have dumped this array of the JSON object into a file which is named as testdata.json, and the name of this JSON is content. The name of the JSON is content. So if I ever want to fetch all this JSON data, I will fetch content. Okay, content is usually the very standard word written, and then whatever you want to write here, whatever data you want to pass, you pass. Okay, so I hope this JSON data which we are going to give is understood. Now you will be wondering, no, this data seems to be like a Titanic ship data. Yes, it is. So you know what we are doing? We are actually trying to train our model on the Titanic training data, and then we are asking the model that tell me how many people survived. I'll give you some people's information. Tell me how many people survived. Okay, fine. So now let me tell you the steps 1 to 4. Where is it there in the? Please notice. Can you see this? Major steps. Pip install Flask. Second step, according to our business problem, code our ML model. Then third step, you will save this ML model. That means persist means permanently save this ML model. Technically speaking, you will serialize this. Serialize means converting something to zeros and ones. In Python, you call this pickling. So when you save anything in Python, convert it into zeros and ones, it is called as pickling. Making a pickle file is called pickling actually. And how do you do pickle? From sklearns.externals, import joblib. So joblib is basically a module which you import, and you have to just write a very simple one-liner code. Joblib.dump. LR is your ML model. I've just given some name to the ML model. So LR could be like linear regression, it could be logistic regression, or any other model. Name could be anything. So whatever is the ML model's name, you're dumping it in a file with the name model.pickle. Okay, and this saves the LR model to the file named model.pickle. And the fourth step, the logistic regression model is now persisted. That means saved. Whenever you want to load this model into memory, you can do it with a single line of code. The code is this: joblib.load loads model.pickle into the variable LR. So these 4 steps which I mentioned here, this is mentioned in English, na? Where is the code? That is what I was trying to say. The code is in the file step 1 to 4 coding.py. Okay, right. Now let's go very patient on this. Once I explain you this, I am expecting, okay, I am not expecting everybody saying yes, understood. That is a lie. If everybody, after explaining this code once, if everybody says yes, understood, it is a lie. Trust me. So you may ask me some questions which which will help not only you, it will help the others who are not asking anything, okay, to understand things better. So please do it. So active participants, please help the others. So I have imported what should be imported. Now have a look here. First thing first, I'm using pandas or read CSV to read my CSV file. In data titanic.csv. So I'm loading my Titanic CSV file into train DF. So I have loaded my Titanic data into the train data frame. Of course, why this long path? Because in my computer it is kept there, no? So I have to see in my computer where the file is. So accordingly only I have to load it, and I can't run all this code on Colab or Jupyter. No, it won't work. Why? Because these codes have to communicate with a web server. Please appreciate that. This code has to communicate with a web server. And because the codes have to communicate with the web server, therefore it is very important that you have to run the code on the command prompt. Otherwise you cannot, because Jupyter is another application, no? Jupyter is a full-fledged application. Colab is a full-fledged. Colab to cannot connect at all, because Colab, poor fellow, himself is running on the Google Cloud server. So he cannot connect with your Flask. Flask is a very junior server in front of Google Colab. Colab says that if you want to deploy your ML model on me, come over to Google Cloud, buy the Google Cloud, and upload your pickle file. Who's stopping you? This is what Colab says. So purpose of the Colab being free is this: that once you have worked and enough, you have worked for so many years on machine learning. Now you're sick and tired. Now you want to deploy your models. So you have to buy the service. You have to buy the service, buy the space. Eventually, one fine day. Right, so let's have a look at this. Now, whatever data we are having, I'm doing a df dot train train df dot head just to see the first two records. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I will go to my data frame train df dot is null dot sum. I hope you know what this code is doing. It is finding from the data frame, are there any null values? If yes, how many? So I will come to know the count of any null values in any of the columns. So I'm checking for missing values. I'm sure there are some missing values in this data. But to really find that, let me run this code in parallel. So I have actually opened up two command prompt cells. Just notice. You'll be wondering why to do that. I have to run my Python code. I need only one command shell. No, yes, you need just one command prompt or one command shell to run your Python code. But you also have to start your web server. No, you have to start your web server called Flask. So I need two windows now. One window will be my client. Other window will be my server. I repeat, I need two windows because one window I will run the client. Other window I will run the server. Okay. So I will hide this for the time being, not bother about the server. Let's first see what is this ML model talking about. Deploying will come later. Na? First you check your ML model. Okay, cool. Let's see. Python. Pick up the path of this. The path is quite long actually. Patience. The code is running. Okay. Some output has come, which will not be so clearly visible and understandable from the screen you are watching. Wait. We'll make it more easy to understand. Have a look. Our first thing, if you recall, was printing the data frames first two records. So you are well aware that every record gets a unique ID automatically. By that is by nature of the data frame. So it has given the index to every record 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. Why only two records come? Because we said na df.head2. You want to see? See this. We have said head 2. So obviously we can only see two records and we're seeing two records. Okay. Why this truncation? Truncation will always happen, friends. That is something which is we can't do anything about it. Trust me. Okay. So passenger ID is seen. Whether the passenger survived or not, that is seen. Middle columns are truncated because it seems it was going too long for the this thing. Cabin information For the first person, cabin information is not there, and the first person has embarked from the port C. Embarked means Titanic halted at certain ports. So you got into the ship at a particular port. So on what port did you embark the ship? It's S or C or Q or whatever. We are given some short forms for the ports. Okay. Now, if I look at the first two rows, I can clearly get this sixth sense that there are values which are NaN in my table, in my data. And I could also do that by opening the CSV file in Excel. If you open the CSV file in Excel, also you can see some columns are blank, some shells are blank. So I thought that I should run this code. What I'm doing now is I'm going for the data frame is null. We'll find how many nulls and it will sum up. It will go column by column. Huh? It went column by column. Check. So it found passenger ID has no null values. Passenger ID has no null values. Let's come to the person who's having null. Age. Oh my god. Age is having 177 null values. Oh, this is something to be figured out, huh? Be careful. We have to figure this out because if 177 people don't have age, and age is a very important feature. I'm sorry, I can't drop age. Why you can't drop age, my friend? Because please understand that in my test data, we had age as a column. So if test data is giving age, that means 100% during training I have to use age. I have to use gender, I have to use embargoed. There's no question of not using it. That is correct. So, if this is correct, then something we all will have to do about the age. Some data cleaning will be required here. Okay. I'll tell you very honestly, we are not going to use cabin at all for training for two reasons. First of all, it doesn't really matter whether your cabin number is 6C85 or A25. It doesn't matter. If death were to come to somebody on Titanic, it would have come. The Titanic will not, water will not bother about your cabin number. I hope you understand. So there's no lucky number concept here. In what cabin I was, I got saved. No. So cabin doesn't really make sense. First, second, and more important point. So many cabin numbers are not given to you only. But this is like 687 cabin numbers are not given to you. So now that is ridiculous. Yes, that is ridiculous. Now because you don't have so much of cabin, cabin related information, I don't think so you should consider cabin, because if you better is to drop the cabin column, which we'll do next. So we are interested only in three columns because that is a point on which I'm testing. So I'm also taking these three columns for training also. The age of the person, the gender of the person, and what port did the person embarked from. Three things I'm taking. Have a look. Don't look at the outside part. Look at the inside part. This is all the coding which we did in FDP1 while learning pandas. So train DF is your train data frame. You have picked up the column called age, and from the age column you are applying median. Median means finding center point, and you're saying that if any age value is NA, that means not available, it is blank, please skip it. Please skip it. Okay, fine. So out of all the age values, maybe around 1000 age values, I didn't check the shape, but okay, I believe there are around 1000 records in this. So out of that, around 850 or 900 records, 177 people don't have their age values. So ignoring these 177 people, the rest of them were considered and the median was found. To assume that this particular value gives you some median, let's say 28. Assume that this particular operation on execution returns to you 28. Now, this particular value 28 which I get, I have written in place equal to true, which means that on the data frame on which I'm working, there itself, the age column, wherever there is a blank, fill any. Wherever there is a blank value, it will get filled with 28. So the original data frames, all the blanks were replaced by the median age, assuming the median age is 28. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it is 28, or maybe 30, or maybe 30, whatever it is. So moving one step further. So either you could go for median or you could go for mean. So with age, any of these two will make sense. Either a median or mean. But I've selected median is because in case if there are outliers, the mean will get deviated. If there are, let's say, too many senior citizens, mean will be on the higher side. If there are too many youngsters on the ship, mean will go on the lower side. Median is unaffected by outliers. Therefore, I've selected median. Okay. Moving to the next step. Now it's very obvious now, friends. If you have replaced age, then there should be no blank or null value in age. Obviously, Rocky sir. I agree with you. Correct? You agree with me, I agree with you. Please look. When I printed the first time, I got age is having 177 blank values. But after doing the fill NA step, notice age is having 0 null values. That means every age has got filled up now. Wow. So one step data cleaning is done. Exactly. One step of data cleaning has been done. Have a look at the next one. Pick only 4 columns. Now is the work of X and Y separation, which we have been doing very long time now. We are used to it. So we're taking total 4 columns from our original data set. 3 columns would become features and 1 column is going to become an outcome. So I took 4 columns, age, gender, embarked and survived from my data frame and reloaded it back in the original data frame. So original data frame is lost. Now all the old data, now it is having only data worth for 4 columns. So that is what my interest is. I don't want anything else. Things like cabin, sibling is there or not, how much ticket fare you have paid. See, point is that how much ticket fare you have paid, do you have a sibling? These really don't affect whether you died or survived. They have no connection with it, so they don't have correlation with it. Okay, next one. This also all of you know. All of us are aware that embarked column is having categorical data. Embarked column is having categorical data. It's like the name of the port. No? The name of the ports given are either a S or I think a P or a Q, something like this. They're given some short forms for 3 port names. So the question is, now from which port have you embarked? This is a categorical data. You can't give S, P, Q, C, A, B, C to a machine learning model. It won't work. So what will you do? You'll have to convert this into, by using one-hot encoding, into encoded data. That means you're converting it into numeric form. You're converting it into zeros and ones format. Okay, so how will you do that? So in marked column, 2 columns are there on which I'm applying get dummies. So I've said pandas.get dummies. I've supplied my entire data frame which has got 4 columns. So I've told get dummies pick only 2 columns, the embarked and the gender. Gender clearly will have 2 classifications, male and female. Embarked is having, I think, 3 classifications, C, Q and S. Okay, it is having C, Q and S. How I came to know from the data only actually. Let me show you. Have a look. After applying get dummies, I repeat, after applying get dummies, I can see that there are 7 columns. Now, out of these 7 columns, 2 though you can minus outrightly. Why? Because age and survived are numeric data. So that means you have got 5 columns, correct? Now, out of the rest of the 5 columns, I repeat, out of the rest of the 5 columns, 2 columns would have come because of gender, male and female. Very obvious. That's right. बचे फिर कितने? How many left? 3. I'm again repeating. See this. When you look at this calculation of 7, you put in your mind 7 here. You first you have this habit always. Immediately subtract all the numeric columns. So if you subtract the two numeric columns, you're left with 5. Correct. That means there are 5 feature engineered categorical data. Please recall your very first case study, student grant recommendation. You remember? So feature engineering categorical data, feature engineered categorical data. So you're left with 5 such data. Oh, cool. So out of 5, you can see 2 of them. I know they're getting truncated, but you can see 2 of them at least. Yes. Subtract 2 of them. How much you left with? 3. That means because the gender is over, gender is already considered, so forget about it. Left with embarked. So obviously, embarked would correspond, or embarked would have 3 values in that case. Okay. Okay, so I've got a solution here. What is the solution? Noise is not coming. So there is noise coming. From my side, no, I don't think so. Anybody else? Is my voice clear? Please somebody authenticate. Is my voice coming clear? Is there some background noise which is disturbing?
सर आज आपके तरफ से नॉइस है बैकग्राउंड.
हाँ बट सर वो सोसाइटी के बच्चे खेल रहे हैं उनको हम कुछ नहीं
हाँ
कर सकते
उसको
उनको,
हाँ बस बस वही मुझे पता है बस
हाँ
वही है और कुछ नहीं
उनको कुछ किया तो झगड़ा हो जाएगा सर, झगड़ा हो जाएगा सोसाइटी में. हाँ,
है. बस वही है और कुछ नहीं है.
क्योंकि मैं उनको बहुत बार बोल चुका लेकिन उनको कोई सुनते नहीं है वो
नहीं
लोग.
नहीं इट्स ओके योर वॉइस इज क्लियर इट्स नो प्रॉब्लम.
हाँ.
थैंक यू.
Okay, so yeah, so I look at this particular part over here, aspect over here. So my embarked will obviously have 3 values. Okay, now how would I come to know 3 values? Actually, to be very honest, what I did was I ran this code. Let me show you. I ran this code in Colab. So when I ran this code in Colab, I did something called as here I have to give minimalistic code. In Python, I'm going to give minimalistic code. I'm not going to have EDA code. But separately, I did a small amount of EDA. What was my EDA? My EDA was I took the embarked column and I did value counts over it. You remember the value counts? Value underscore counts. I hope you remember this method. We did it 2-3 times in FDP1, so we did it many times. In FDP2 also we did it once. So value counts will find how many values are there in this respective column, and I got there were 3 values and I could see those 3 values. Okay, so now moving on next. After applying get dummies, I am coming here to train df.head, and the train df.head is going to give me 5 records in the output, something like this.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, sure, please go ahead.
Sir, that when you was discussing about the features, 7 features and minus 2 numeric column that you have subtracted, and we got it 5, and again you have subtracted 2. That particular number I didn't get it from where you have.
Gender, yeah, because of gender female and gender male. So I could see these two. So I was to find how many values got truncated here, which is not seen.
Acha, acha.
So
Okay.
that means total there are 5 values. Out of 5, 2 are visible. So that means 3 got truncated, and those 3 were all of embarked.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Correct. So now moving further, that we are looking at the embarked column. Even embarked column has 2 blank or null values, but then 2 values embarked, 2 values are missing. That's okay. That's okay. That doesn't make much of a difference. Right. So what I did next was I did print my data frame dot head. Now if you notice, after printing dot head, it will print 5 records: age, survived, male, female, and of course embarked values in between. Now have a look what we are doing here. Very simple, which you have been doing from day one. Day one, you import a logistic regression because you know to classification. Classification would be done as follows: that either a person survived or a person didn't survive. I repeat, either a person survived or a person didn't survive. Okay, so that's a case of logistic regression. You have to just classify the data. Okay, next what I have done. I'm extracting the input. I'm extracting the input features. I'm extracting the input features. Why I have defined the column names is because of the very simple reason that if I don't give the column names, then how would I be able to give the values? How will I be able to extract the data from it? So now this is little manual work which I have done. To be very honest, we could even automate this, but then I think just a second, just a second, just a second. Oh my God, there are 6 windows open. Just a second. Into the session. So I was at this particular point talking on this aspect. Okay, I was just mentioning that we could have automated this also, but that is actually going to take me away from the fact of we making a minimalistic code for deployment. So therefore this is little important that little EDA from the background will help us. So अगर आपने अलग से just 2-3 लाइन का कोड लिखकर अगर EDA किया, so once you do an EDA, you realize that these are my column names. I just picked up those column names and I copy pasted it. This is what I have done. Okay. Now, you will be wondering that I never saw the column names on my command prompt. No, actually, friends, you will see it. If you run my this much part of the code, see this code will run this code of coding.py will run in Jupyter also. It will run in Jupyter, run in Colab also. Now, if I run this code in Colab, I will be able to see the column names complete. Plus, I can also print the column names by typing data frame train underscore df dot columns. I'll get all the column names. Simple. Okay. So now what I've done, I've used those column names and I have made a list over here. Age, female, male, embarked from port C, embarked from port Q, embarked from port S. Now, once I've got made a list of columns and loading those columns into the variable X. So X becomes my features. X becomes my features. And from my data frame, I picked up one particular column called survived, and survived becomes Y, which is my target variable. Y will be holding 0 or 1. 0 means not survived, 1 means survived. The next, I'm building a logistic regression model and I'm fitting it to the training data, build the model, fitting it to the data. Now, this is something new. This is something new. I can run this on Colab also. It will create a pickle file for me, no problems. But the point is that after running on Colab, I have to rerun it on a command prompt also. So I thought that I might as well run it over here. So from sklearns.externals, I import joblib and joblib.dump, one line code. Dump means you are converting your model, your ML model. Whether this ML model is logistic regression, it's decision tree classifier, it's random forest classifier, its K means clustering, immaterial. Any model you have, how much ever sophisticated, just one line code will convert the whole model into executable zeros and ones wala code. One line. What is one line? Job lib.dump. You're dumping the model into a file called model.pickle. And somebody asked me, is Rocky Ji this particular file to be named like this? I told no, you can name it whatever you want to. You can name it like abc.pickle. You could name it titanic.pickle, but pickle extension has to be there. Extension has to be pickle. Name is your choice. Usually we name it as model so that if you look at this pickle file, because pickle file can also be used to hold data. I can also create a pickle of my data. So when I look at my this set of this is a These are the minimal files required for implementing a model. So when I look at these 5 files, I shouldn't get confused, no? So if I look at model.pickle, it is very clear. This is a pickle file holding the ML model. I could have many ML models. That's possible. Maybe you're making a recommendation engine which basically recommends by using 3 different methods, A, B, and C. So you could have 3 pickle files in that case. Okay, not one. You could have 3 pickle files in that case. Now I'm waiting for your questions with respect to this particular file. This particular file called steps 1 to 4 coding.py. Please take 1 minute. Scan the code in your computer. At least open the code in your computer and scan it. Take patient 1 minute. Scan your code. And in the meantime, people are welcome to ask me questions on this. Yeah, Smita, you're right. So you haven't run all the 5 files. Of course, all the 5 files Vismita can't run. You have to run only the Python files. So there are 2 files which you have to run. One is this one, steps 1 to 4 coding.py, other is api.py. And I have listed the step-by-step process in the collab module which I have given. So you have to maybe read the collab module at least twice to make sure that you're running these 2 files and there are particular sequence to run it. No, Apeksha. You can't use Anaconda. Anaconda means you see, please understand, Apeksha, Anaconda is nothing but a collection of some tools like Jupyter or an R Studio. So when you can't run it on Colab, when I'm saying you can't run on Colab or Jupyter, that's over because you need a server to host. So running the Python code of this steps 1 to 4, you can run anywhere. You can run Jupyter also. But the point is, and create a pickle file. That's okay. But the other part, starting a server and hosting a pickle file on the server, that you have to run from a command prompt only. That you can't run again in Anaconda also. You'll have to start your command prompt. Yes, Indrajit, you can run from Spider, but Spider ultimately using the command prompt. Effectively using the command prompt of a system, Windows system. So whether you go via Spider, whether you open the command prompt, it's effectively one and the same thing. Vismita says, I think I'll have to use Python 3 version. Yes, yes, yes. All our codes are based on Python 3.6 and above. Correct. So I don't see any doubts from anyone as of right now with respect to this particular file. Okay. Now let me go on to the other file. This file which you have seen right now, I'm again repeating, this you can run from Jupyter, from Colab. You open Jupyter directly on command prompt, you open it via Anaconda, you run it in Spider, there is no problems. Because ultimately this is a simple Python code which runs, makes an ML model, trains it, and dumps the ML model in a pickle file. Now I have to do the next piece of code, and the next piece of code is the one which is named as api.py. Why? Because this code, don't worry about this comments part, forget the comment part. This code is responsible for starting the Flask. I repeat, for starting the Flask, which I've already installed on my PC. Second, after starting the Flask, it is going ahead uh, reading your pickle file. It reads your pickle file. I'm going to explain every line of the code. Please don't worry. I'm just taking you to the key point of this code. Look, joblib.load. So joblib.load is loading the pickle file. And because you're loading the pickle file, you're loading it. So notice this particular code is doing what? This particular code is working on the hard work which your previous code did. So you run this previous code from Colab, from Jupyter, doesn't make a difference. But just be careful. If you run this code from Jupyter, your pickle file will be created in the path of the Jupyter. If you run this code from Anaconda, from Spider, your pickle file will be created in the path where the Spider or Anaconda is working. And you have to then come out. You will obviously you will come out because you cannot deploy your Flask from there. So you will come out. When you come out of Anaconda, of Spider, of Jupyter, and then when you run this code, it will give you an error. Why? Because this pickle file is somewhere else. So then you must be able to be smart enough to find the path of the pickle file and dump it here. Be careful of that. Okay. So I wanted to be carefree. I thought, no, let me keep everything and run another command prompt so that I am carefree with the fact that I want to load my pickle file. I know a pickle file is created in the same path because both of these files are in the same folder. Okay. Right. Now, let's understand how this overall code works. I can't start this code from the first time. You won't be, no, none of us will be able to understand. Oh, connectivity nahi बैठी. Let's have a look of this code from the 67th line. First, this kind of coding, if name equal to main, is a way to check that is this the main file? It is. And or is this the main module? It is. So this is a very standard practice in Python where we say is the name of the current file or current module equal to main, and it is main. So I have a try block. The try block is trying to fetch the port number on your machine on which Flask is running. By the way, Flask is running on the default port 5000. I repeat, Flask runs on the default port. When you start Flask, it runs on the default port 5000. So when I run this file, api.py, I'm not going to specify from my side any port number. Because in my machine, or for that reason, in any other machine of yours also, your Flask is going to run on the default port 5000. So the try gets skipped and I come to the accept part and I initialize the port number to 5000. Simple. So you can understand this try except block is kind of a fail-safe code which will look that if you have given me the port number, it will take it. If not, then it will initialize the default port only to variable port. Okay, you can ignore this code. This has nothing to do with respect to machine learning. Next, here is a major heart of the code. You have trained a beautiful logistic regression model in the previous case, which has already got trained on the Titanic dataset. Now you are loading this data, you're loading this pickle file into LR variable. Next, what? I just thought of printing model loaded just for the sake of clarity. Otherwise, I don't see anything on my screen now. On the command prompt, I should see something. Okay, next. I have loaded my ML model. That is okay, cool. But I need to know the column names also, no? So I have defined a list variable model underscore columns. Same variable here. Somebody asked me, why did you define this variable? So we need to get this point clear that when you trained your model, you decided on some columns, no? So when you're going to use your model, you have to use the same columns, isn't it or not? Right? So that's the reason I've defined the same column names over here also as model underscore columns. Now, app is actually an object of the Flask, which is made above. I'll tell you where it is made. Dot run actually starts the Flask. It starts a Flask on port PORT. First port on the left is actually the parameter of the app equal to port. Now this port on the right is actually the number 5000. So somebody asked this question, Vandana is asking, in case if 5000 port number is already in use by another application, then which port number we should change it to? Any port number of your choice. Maybe 5001, 5002, 4999, any port number can be chosen. One above, one below. So debug equal to true indicates that we are telling the Flask that listen, I'm not running, I'm not deploying my app for commercial or I'm not deploying my app in short. I am developing my app. I'm not deploying my ML model. I am developing my ML model. So debug mode is kept to true. So if there is any errors, he will tell me if there is some errors. Okay. Now, after knowing the code from 67 up till 77, now I think we are all inquisitive to know who is this person app. ये app कहाँ से आ गया? Who is he? Let's introspect. Let's scroll up a bit along with me. Oh wow! I saw what app is 43rd line. Correct. If you look at what app is an object of Flask, and it holds the name of the file. Whatever is the name of the current module. The current module name is actually main, and so you made an app using the current module. App.debug equal to true. This is needed to tell the Flask that listen, you are running in the development mode. Cool, no problems. We are doing that. Okay. Now, friend, there is some concept called as routing. In fact, routing is best understood by people who work in electronics and telecom because they learn lots of routing algorithms. That's very complex. This is too simple. What we're trying to say is at the rate means refer karna. You're referring to somebody. How you write in WhatsApp, how you refer to somebody in a group, you write at the rate symbol. How do you refer somebody on a LinkedIn message? You write at the rate symbol. So at the rate means refer. So you're referring to app is a Flask app. Route, actually the route, route ROUTE. Let's speak it out as route. You're following a route. When you say simply a slash, I know it may be confusing at the start. Simply a slash means the index or the root. It's the index or the root. And what does this mean? This means that if somebody types 127.0.0.1 colon 5000. So 127.0.0.1 is the special IP address, which means your own machine. And colon 5000 is a port number on which a Flask app is running. So if you just type this much, you need not type slash also, no need. If you just type this much, of course, you have to give the protocol ahead. Then you are referring to the root. So what is trying to say that if anybody calls Flask like this, sorry, anybody calls your app like this, then then I'm going to call the function. So app root slash means if anybody calls your app like this, I know it is going to be confusing, but trust me, it will be clear in the next 7 to 8 minutes. It will be crystal clear with little patience. Just flow with me. If somebody calls your application like this, it's very simple. Just as an example, supposedly if I tell you call https amazon.in, what opens? Everybody will say the home page opens. Correct, the home page opens. But if you say slash phones, home page opens. No, home page doesn't opens. The mobile phone page opens. Correct. Notice the difference. What happened? When you didn't type anything, that means a blank slash. That means you were referring to the index page or the root page, index page or the root page or the home page, simple word, or the home page. Home is a non-technical word actually, or the home page. Home page actually is the index page or the root page because everything starts from there, no? So it's a home page. And if you say amazon.in slash phones, it's a mobile phone page. Okay, so try to figure this out, what I'm trying to say. So if somebody says, no, I want to index predict page. Predict is not a page, predict is a machine learning model actually. So you are then going to call, that means you are writing like this. The first IP address means localhost, your local machine, 5000 is the port number, slash predict. This is what I'm trying to say. So slash predict is going to actually call some predict function. So if what I'm trying to say is that if somebody is given this is an input, then this is the output. If somebody is given this is an input, this is the input and this is what I'm trying to call. Simple. And this is an example of it. Example के point of view say, if Amazon phones have to be called, then this is the way it is. Okay. I'm going to punch this to all of you. See if you find it useful. You can please copy paste it somewhere. Okay. Now, going back into this. So I have defined my route, which says if you don't give me any input, then I'm going to call the index page, which just returns hello from AICD trainers. But if you call me as predict, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to call the predict function. I'm going to call the predict function, and predict function does all this stuff. The predict function checks if LR. Oh my God, LR कहाँ से आ गया? From where does it come? Have a look. Have a look, friends. 73rd line. Joblib.load loaded the ML model into LR, isn't it or not? So therefore the 51st line will exist if LR will go true. You come in. I know you'll be able to feel how can 51st code run first and 73rd code. Okay, now that will take a little time. For computer people, they would have understood. For non-computer people, it will take a little time. And that little time will not be the next 25 minutes of the lecture. That little time will be a little more time, maybe a couple of months. So let's have a look at this further. So you are making a prediction where you're checking. So you have called the predict function because you routed it to this function. Now, if the LR model is available, you forget for 2 minutes of how I reached here. You worry about that if you have reached here, what you will do. I repeat, for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, please don't worry how we reached here. That you will understand. Don't worry. Before 7, you will understand that. But you worry of the fact that if you have reached here, what you will do. Okay. So if you have reached the predict function, what is your responsibility? Your responsibility is as follows. Request.getJSON is getting the entire JSON data from the request. So Rocky ji, are you trying to say that JSON data? Yes. The test data.json, you have to send it. This you have to send along with the request. Otherwise, what will the ML model predict, my friend? Oh. So the JSON data is extracted, correct? JSON data got extracted from the request, from HTTP request, and was brought into the variable JSON. You made a data frame from it. I hope you remember that in test data, the entire test data was called as content. So you read the whole JSON data, converted into a data frame, and there on the spot, all the categorical data you applied get dummies over it. So all the data which is categorically you applied get dummies over it. And the data has come into the variable query. So the variable query is having numeric columns and categorical encoded columns. Okay, what are you doing next? I'm re-indexing it. What does re-index mean? So re-index means that your columns could have been haphazard. So I'm just organizing the columns according to the model underscore columns array. Have a look. So I want all the columns to get organized like this. Age, female, male, embark C, embark Q, embark X. Oh, okay, why I'm doing this is because, see, when you apply get dummies, no, there is a possibility that get embarked S may come here, age may go here, then there is female, then there is embarked Q, then there is male. So it looks disorganized. We haven't to print it here, but if you ever print it, it will look very disorganized. So what we're doing is we are re-indexing it. And if any value is blank, I'm using a fill value equal to 0. Okay? So you're re-indexing the data, and if any value is blank, you're filling it with 0. Any column value is blank, you're filling it with 0. Okay. So little bit data cleaning is also being done on test data. But to be very honest, very frank, why fill value 0 is important, I'll tell you. Have a look on this. All of you please have a very careful view now. If you notice from my test data, you will notice that embarked column is having S, embarked column is having C, embarked column is having only S and C uniquely. See, notice the content is having embarked column value as S, C, and S. There is no Q. Think about it. There is no queue. Now, if there is no queue, then obviously if you apply get dummies on this data, if you apply get dummies on this test data, you will get dummies on this test data, you will get only two categorical values. You will get only two categorical values for embarked. You will get embarked S and you will get embarked S and you will get embarked C. You will not get embarked Q at all. Please notice this. Now, if you're not going to get embarked Q, no, you're going to get embarked S, you're going to get embarked C. You won't get embarked Q at all. Think hard on this. अगर embarked Q आपको नहीं मिलता है, I'm sorry, then you will not be able to use this test data. Why? Because your ML model was trained. Your ML model was trained on 7 columns. And now what you're giving in the test data is only 6 columns. 1 column is missing. System will collapse. It will break down. ML is very strict here. ML says you trained me on 7 columns. Therefore, you have to test me also on 7 columns. Oh, interesting. So obviously you will feel that Rocky ji, if there is no there is no test data which is having any data of categorical EQ that is embarked from Q port, then what should I do? That is the reason I've given fill value equal to 0. So if any column is not present, and because you're re-indexing according to model columns, there is a possibility that embarked Q column will come because of re-indexing, but it will have no value. So I'm filling the value with zeros. Okay. So model was trained on 7 columns. I'm testing it also on 7 columns. All 7 columns are ready. See, these things are very important. These are data cleaning parts only, but you have to think a lot about it when you're applying on testing data. Because these small things create errors and systems don't work. Okay, coming into the last final step. LR.predict is going to predict on your data and is going to give some recommendations which comes into prediction. I have to JSONify, that means convert my prediction output. From a list I'm converting into a string, and from a string I'm converting into a JSON file. Why? Because this ML model which you're seeing here is running your data. This ML model which you're seeing here is running your data on a Flask. That's okay. That's okay. It is okay for me also. But the point is that, my friend, you have sent a request to the Flask, which is a web server, as an HTTP request, no? So an HTTP request, along with it, you send me a test data.json file, no? Yes, I did. So I obviously have to give the prediction output also as a JSON file to you, because that is a protocol of data exchange on the internet that I can't break. Achha. So whatever predictions the ML model did, I converted into a JSON to send it back to my client. Who is the client? The client is nothing but the command prompt from where I'm going to call him. Okay, the client could be a web browser, the client could be a command prompt. It could be an Android app, anything. Now, okay. So I hope the whole code is now clear. Now the question is, how should I call this fellow? Now, before we worry about calling this fellow, first you compile this fellow. API.py. Let's compile this fellow first. This is the path of the file. Let me make him ready. This is the path ready. From where will you call this file? You have to call this from a different window, because he is the one who makes the Flask. So Flask is a server. This is the client fellow. So please minimize him. Go to another window. This is a new window which I've kept here. I type the code Python. API.py. See what happens. Patience. Have a look. No. I was eagerly waiting for this line to come. Running on HTTP 127.0.0.1 5000. So running means who is running? The Flask is running. Okay, fine. Did the word model loaded come anywhere? Yes, it has come. Model loaded come. It is there. So that because see all of the lines are coming from the server. Let's understand. All of the lines of codes are coming from the server. There's only one line code which is coming from our side. So I just thought that this line of code will help us to understand if my code is working correctly or not. Okay? And your server is running. Cool. Let me check it. Yes, please. Let's do it. Let's do it. So what I can do is I can go to my server here. Let me refresh this. What do I say? Hello from ASAP trainers. Okay, you want to change this and try once again? Let's do it. So hello from S.P.I.T and Harry. Fine. Doing here. I'll save the code here. I'll again have to relaunch it, because automatically the code will not. Then if you want, I can go here. Okay, this is my browser. As you could see, this is your browser. This is your code here. This is your browser here. Okay, let me refresh this. See, what did you see? Obviously, you have to refresh, because without refreshing, how will it pick the new thing? That's very natural. Have a look. Notice this, that why the index code was called. Why? It's because you didn't specify anything ahead of the this is like 127.0.0.1 in real life is going to be the URL, the domain name. Let's say abc.college.edu.in वैसा होगा. So in our case, because we're running on the local machine, so we're giving the local IP address colon 5000. Now the bigger point is, okay, how will I call the predict function? Okay, you can't call the predict function by typing /predict here. No, that won't work. Why? Because how you give data? See, when you call predict, you have to also give data in JSON format. You can't give JSON data here in the browser address bar. Please understand that. So how do I call this file now? How do I ask him to predict? No, that is a trick. See, to ask this file to predict, either either we will go ahead making a web page, which of course is not the focus of this particular workshop. Making a web page requires a certain web development skills. It's not everybody's cup of tea. So a lot of things have to be taken care of with web development, because you learn a different programming language, HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript. A lot of things have to be learned. So obviously creating a web page was out of question as regards to anybody who's learning in machine learning. Okay, and also one more thing, if you have made an ML model, if you have deployed the ML model on Flask, do you really think that as a data science professional, or as a mechanical, or as electrical, or as a electronics engineer who has solved a problem in his respective domain, is making a is developing a website or an app your headache? No, it is not. Then the question is, if this is not my job, it's okay, I understand this is not my job, but then how will I call this fellow? That's what I'm going to teach you right now. You can easily call this fellow. There's a protocol called curl. It is small c capital URL, client URL. So what is client URL or command URL? You can actually call this client URL from your command prompt. You can call from your command prompt on which you're running a Python code. From there, you can throw an HTTP request, as well pass a JSON data file to your ML pickle. He will run, give the output, which will come back to the command prompt. Wow, makes sense. Exactly. So usually the people in the data science and ML field don't take the headache of making an app or making a web. For that they call upon the web developers or the mobile app developers and tell them, listen, I'm going to give you a URL. You will fire this URL the way I'm firing from a command prompt. They'll say, okay, sir, that's okay. You will do that. Okay. So now we've agreed principally with this. Then I think I can demonstrate you the next step. So your server is running, as you could see. is running. If you want to stop the server, you'll press Control C, is written here. Control C to quit the server. No, I don't want to quit now. Wait, I have to run. So minimize the server window. Don't touch the server window. Just minimize it. And go to the client window. This was your client window. Okay, now client window, what should I call? First you clear the screen. Cool. Now look at this call command. I have explained in my file, the file which I've shared with you, I've explained each and every bit of this call. But I'll explain it over here also. Please pay a lot of attention. Perl command, when you write -d, it means you're supplying some data file. It means you're supplying some data file. So this is your data file up till this point. Have a look. Patiently have a look at the screen. So @ml nb blah 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 up till test data.json is your data file. After leaving a single space, now these are very strict things you should follow. Anything wrong in terms of your input giving, things will not work. Okay, so after giving -d the data file, next is what? Next is a URL. Okay, making sense? Yes, next is a URL because I want to call the predict function, so I supplied the URL. Correct? See, remember, curl is just like making a web page, but without making a web page, you're throwing an HTTP request. So curl is going to throw an HTTP request to this URL on the Flask, give him this data called testdata.json and and tell the Flask that listen, I am carrying my JSON data in my header. So what is this header? Now on the internet, whenever every packet goes, I'm sure that people who are from telecom would know this much better than I know, but what brief I know, I'm sharing with you. Whenever any data packet flows over the internet, it has two parts. One is the header and other is the body. The body contains the content, but the header indicates what body contains. So header is like a book's index. Header part is an index to the book. An index tells you about the book. We don't need the book when you go to a bookstore. You just pick up the book, look at the index, you find it good, you buy the book. Finish. So this index here, so this header is acting as an index. Have a look. It says -header, content type application, JSON. That means the content which the curl packet is saying the content which I'm holding is JSON data. And that is right also. It is holding JSON data. So what do? I pick up this here. Okay, and notice this. Wait. Wait. I would like to see the chats when have a look at both the windows so that you don't feel confused. This window running in the back is the server window. I'm bringing the client window in front of you. This is your client window. And in this client window, I am copying the curl command. Nothing, I just copied that curl command which is given to the top of the file. Curl -d means data file given, what URL you want to call, and the header information. Press and enter. See what output I've got. I've got the output as prediction 0100. Now what does this mean? I'll come into it. But I got some prediction that you agree, and this is in JSON format. See, brace bracket open, brace bracket closed, key value pairs. Interesting. You have to communicate in JSON objects. You have no other option, either XML or JSON. Look at here. Look at the server. Even the server is saying that he received a request of predict, and that request was processed in 200 milliseconds, and the reply was given. Okay, cool. So it's kind of a when we do when you perform the RTT round trip time is, so the request came to you and he answered it in 200 milliseconds is what the server is trying to say to you. Cool, very nice. So Now let me explain last part of what was this 0101. 0100 what about? It means that the first person with the age 85 male and embarked from port S did not survive or wouldn't have survived, because this is a prediction, wouldn't have survived. The female of 25 years old embarked on the port C would have survived. The small child of 3 years old male embarked from port C wouldn't have survived. It was 0100. And the last male also wouldn't have survived, is the prediction by your ML model as it has been trained. Right? Now, whether I do it on Titanic, whether I do a recommendation engine, the process, the pipeline, please remember, remains ditto same. There is no difference. Okay? Now, the whole class is all yours, friends. I would like to listen to some questions from your side. If you really paid attention to what was going on, I'm sure you have some questions to ask. Please go ahead. I have told this yesterday. I have told this at the starting at 5 o'clock today, and I'm again repeating at around 7. You will have to re-watch the video of this lecture once again, and to understand of how the whole thing is deployed. You know how the ML model is deployed. Okay, let me get the queries now. Apeksha says, can you tell us about the Flask installation? Apeksha, there's nothing in Flask installation. There's just pip install Flask. That's it. Nothing more than that. And then you start the Flask the way we did it. Okay. Dashmita says, you explained deployment. Yes, Dashmita, you're right. I explained deployment. And you'll have to watch the video once again to synchronize and do it, because installing curl is not so easy. There are two things to be installed. One is Flask, other is curl. You know, I have installed curl also, no? Because I have fired curl from here. Notice. Oh, I cleared it off. No, it's here. So I fired using curl. So curl also has to be installed, and installing curl is not so easy. Installing curl is not so easy. It has some standard steps, but because some of you, not most of you, some of you would be using Windows 10. You'll say, majority sir, we are using Windows 10. I also agree that Windows 10 आपका license होगा. लेकिन most of us don't have the habit of relicensing or buying the license of Windows 10 every year. Therefore, their DLL updates stop coming. And because of that, when you install curl, you may get some problems. So I have directly given the Stack Overflow link here. There is no other link which will help you for curl. Install curl, follow steps carefully. No, follow steps very carefully. And it is here. If you want to see what are the steps for installing curl, come on, right now, please go. Please go on to this link and click on Stack Overflow's link here. Install curl के आगे जो link है, go and click there. And look at the steps for curl. You will yourself realize why I'm telling this is not that easy. Because if somebody's curl gets installed, it will get possibly, installation is 2 minutes, but all the steps have to run will take 20-25 minutes. But if it doesn't goes through, your 4 hours are gone. If it doesn't goes through, your 4 hours are gone. Trust me on that. Okay, right. So to make a computer ready for this notebook, you may have to spend 4 or 5 hours minimum, nothing less than that. Yeah, Vandana says, in real data, we have so many rows. Yes, obviously a million rows or even more than a million. So we need to write all that in a JSON file. Of course, yes. Yes, you have to. So, but Vandana, you need to realize one thing. You're not transferring million records up and down the network. That million records were used by the ML model to train the ML model. Now, where there are million records, customer is not a million record. Now, client giving to the server is just going to give his record to the server and is wanting recommendation for himself. So there is only one record which is getting communicated between the client and the server, for which the server is recommending. And that one record will go in the JSON format to and fro. Okay, Vishwanath says, yes, yeah, I know Java servlets and beans, and so it was easy for me to understand. Yes, cool, absolutely. The same concept is here, but in fact, Java servlets is very clumsy. Java servlets and beans is in fact very clumsy. but only you would have understood the routing concept, because in serverless also we have to do the routing concept by using @. Same is there in Angular also. Same is there in the Flask or Heroku coding also. Okay, Indrajit says, yes, a little heavy content will have to revisit video. Yes, definitely, Indrajit. You will have to rewatch this once or twice again to get things in track. Right. Venkat Dea says, can we go for Django? Yeah, Django is in fact more clumsier. Django is in fact more steps. If I would have done this whole notebook in Django, it would have taken me 2 lectures. At my speed, it would have taken me 2 lectures. You don't execute. If I would have only done all the steps, it would have taken me 2 sessions, 2 plus 2. So you can imagine how much more formalities are there when it comes to Django. So you would actually use Django only if you want to touch scalability. The scalability is a point. Otherwise, Flask is good enough. Because ultimately, what people do is that they will use a AWS stack or Google Cloud stack. They will install Flask on it and install their ML pickle into it. Finish. So now the heaviness or the hits are not coming on Flask. The hits are coming on the infrastructure of what Google Cloud is providing you, what Amazon is providing you. So they take care of the scalability problem. So to be very honest, Google Cloud and Amazon, all of the cloud services are having their own servers now. So we have to neither work on Django nor work on Flask. But the steps there on their proprietary web servers where they ask you to create a pickle file and install is ditto the same as Flask, what I have done now. That's the reason I insist on learning Flask. And there is one more way also. You can install your app. You can install it on Heroku through Git. You can just do a little research on it. Venkata, there you can do little one, just type one line on Google, you will get it. Installing app on Heroku via Git. There is a direct command in Git where it will upload your ML model straight onto Heroku. Okay, right. So doubts have stopped coming in because maybe the topic was a little difficult. Uh, but I try to make it as far as possible more interesting as far as I could do. Okay. So I would now request Sony ma'am to take it over from here, because from my side it's all over. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thank you, okay, sir. Once again, was a great session. And actually, we need to revisit the video and we have to do it by ourselves. Then only we'll get the complete understanding of the topic. But it was a
Sure,
great session, sir, as usual.
sure.
So once again, thank
Thank
you.
you. Yep. Thank
Thank
you.
you, everyone. Rathod, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir.
नेक्स्ट सेशन आपका
26, sir.
26 है ना, कल नहीं है.
That's right. Yeah,
Yes,
kal.
that's what.
Tomorrow you are giving me holiday, sir. One day you are giving me holiday.
वही check कर रहा हूँ, just I
Right.
was
And
checking.
even that is,
NLP
but
ना.
yeah, NLP. So that's going to be again a big application of consumer complaint classification, but everybody will be able to execute in the class.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, but sir, everybody has done the NLP part is started in the morning sessions. NLP part is started.
NLP will be in the morning by Dr. Mayank Singh from IIT Gandhinagar.
Wow. Okay.
So
Yeah.
he will be talking about NLP. That is his domain. So I think
Fantastic. Fantastic.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And the evening I'll be taking
Then evening you will be taking hands-on sessions. Like
hands-on sessions. Yes. Yes.
correct,
Perfect.
correct.
Perfect.
और कल का tomorrow morning Godwin, Dr. Godwin there, and evening Mr. Pankaj Sharma. Pankaj will be taking evening
Oh,
session.
yeah. Pankaj will be taking the recommendation engine, right?
Yeah, recommendation. Building a recommendation
Okay.
system.
Okay. Sure. Sure. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Chalo,
Bye-bye.
thank you, sir. We'll
Yeah.
meet.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Okay, bye. So thank you, everyone.